Good morning, everyone who attended here at the Faculty of Medicine, Universitas Diponegoro. Good day to all of us. Good afternoon and good evening for all of you who are attended in the online Zoom. I would like to personally and professionally want to say welcome to the summer course of the Faculty of Medicine, Universitas Diponegoro. In this sub-team 1 about the climate change and disease from the disaster in Indonesia, I want to personally introduce myself. I'm sorry, I haven't some of the problem. My name is Farhan Syafiq Fadila. I am from the Department of Nutrition Science, Faculty of Medicine, Universitas Diponegoro. I'm here. I also joined here by Prof. Dr. Sains Anindya Wirasatria. Welcome aboard, sir. So, before we begin today's session, I would like to acknowledge the recent natural disasters that have affected our country, including the significant tidal flooding in Semarang, and also the volcanic activities, and also anything else that happened in Indonesia. These events remind us of the importance of our work in managing and mitigating various risks to our communities, including health-related challenges. In this summer course first topic about the climate change and its impact, learning from disaster in Indonesia, Prof. Dr. Sains Anindya Wirasatria, who is the renowned expert in coastal resource management, will. Okay, sir, I'm sorry. In this case, Prof. Dr. Sains Anindya Wirasatria will give us the lecture about this topic, and because we have only maybe 1 hour, maybe you can go ahead and have the prepared have the lecture. I'm sorry. Maybe operator, maybe you can give the CV here. So for brief introduction here, Prof. Anindya is the Secretary of Department of Professor in the Department of Oceanography, Faculty of Fishery and Marine Science, and he has so much professional experience here. Maybe scroll down, maybe also. Including the professional position held now as the lecturer, head of Center of Excellence, maybe a secretary of Oceanographic Department. So, without further ado, Prof. Anin, the time is yours. You have time until 11:30.
Okay, thank you very much, Mas Farhan. Good morning, everyone. Okay, why not so cheerful? Good morning, everyone. Oh, morning. Okay, thank you. So today, my name is Anindya Wirasatria. Yeah, actually, I'm not the main person here. I'm here. I'm replacing my colleague, Professor Dr. Doni Nugroho Sugianto, who is in Jakarta right now, so I should replace his position. But it's okay, we can learn. Some of material is from Denny and some material is from me. So today we would like to deliver some presentation. The title is the Climate Change and its Impact Learning from Disaster in Indonesia. Yeah. But before that, I would like to know because this is a summer course, I think all of you will come from different countries, yeah? Anyone from Europe here? Oh, from where? Belanda. Belanda, you can speak Indonesia. So nice. And you? Sama. How long you been in Indonesia? Oh, 2 bulan you can speak Indonesia. Wow. So maybe we can talk in Indonesia later, yeah. And then from Southeast Asia. Oh, many. From where? Philippines. Okay. 4 of you from Philippines. Oh, okay. And then Malaysia? No, Malaysia? No. Oh. And then from other Asian country? Japan. Oh, I've been there in Japan for 5 years. So where do you come from? Huh? Oh, Kagoshima, bit south, yeah. I was in Tohoku in 2009 and 2015. and I feel the tsunami and earthquake. Oh, Fukushima. Oh, worse than yeah. Fukushima is the center of the tsunami. Okay. And then Africa? No? Okay. America? Okay. Okay, thank you. And then about the background. So anyone here from medicine? Oh, most of you is medicine, yeah? Nutrition? Okay. Health, public health, for example? Other? From? Law faculty. And then you? Huh? Oh, okay, okay. Science, yeah? Science, yeah. Okay. So maybe today I would like to, my background is not medicine, health or something, but basically I'm a geophysicist, yeah, oceanography. So maybe I would like to share maybe more bit about the disaster itself and the mechanism and so on, yeah. Maybe after my talk, maybe some lecture from other, from this faculty will talk about more in the impact of the disaster to the health and something. Okay, so I would like to, next yeah, I would like to, first we should agree, all of you in this room should agree, should believe the climate change does exist. Anyone here do not agree with me that climate change exists? You agree? Yeah, because the data shows that we are facing the climate change. The temperature rising. Yeah, here we can see, for example, here, this is the record from 1950 until around 2020. This white line is the record. Yeah, the record of temperature. So we can see that there is a increasing temperature here. Yeah, and this blue and the orange one is the simulation scenario. The researcher from all of the world in IPCC, they already make a simulation. The orange one is the worst scenario. The worst scenario means that we know that climate change, the global warming caused by the emission of CO2, for example. If there is no effort to mitigate, to reduce the emission of CO2, so it will be like this. Okay. It will be like this. Yeah, no emission cut. But if people all of, on Earth or realize and they try to mitigate, try to reduce the emission, so this is the scenario. Yeah, but still there is a increasing temperature. So the evidence is clear. Rising global temperature have been accompanied by change in weather and climate. The Earth temperature will increase around 1.5 degrees Celsius by 2050. So even if we already make an effort to reduce the emission, still the temperature rise by 2050 is 1.5 degrees Celsius. Yeah. And what this is the this figure illustrate the relation between the CO2. This is the CO2. Yeah, CO2. And this is the global mean temperature. What can we learn from this graph? Anyone? What can we learn? Can you read the graph? You like this? Okay, please. What's your name? What's your name? Angel, please Angel, explain to everybody. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, that's true. Yeah, this is the evidence. And again, I can show you, this is the data. Yeah, this is the data. And this is the simulation. Yeah. So we should take attention to this graph. Yeah. Because all of us now, I think we have our own carbon print. Every day we will make a carbon print. You come here by motorcycle, yeah, it become your carbon print. Yeah. So a representation of the change in global mean temperature relative to atmospheric carbon dioxide concentration. Assuming current trend continue, the projected global temperature increase by 2100 is about 3.8 degrees Celsius, with the atmospheric concentration is around 790 ppmv. Yeah. Okay, and this data shows the ice core data. So some people don't believe that there is a global warming actually. Because what? Because of this. If we can see here, the temperature up, down, up, down, up, down. Yeah. So like a cyclist actually. In the past, there is also increasing temperature and then suddenly decrease. Increasing again, decrease again. So people, some scientists believe that this is just a cyclist. So not climate change, not global warming. But they didn't realize that actually now the increasing temperature and the increasing carbon dioxide and also methane is unprecedented. That's why most of the scientists believe that this is a global warming or climate change. Yeah. And from here, from this graph, we also can learn that very clearly the relation between the temperature and also the carbon dioxide and also methane. These two cases contribute to the global warming. Yeah. So if the carbon dioxide increase, and then this is the also methane increase, so temperature increase. And then if this is decrease, temperature also decrease. This is all of this have the same pattern. That's why the existence of the greenhouse gases is very, very important in global warming. Yeah. And this data, actually, this is from the ice core data. So maybe some of you will think, how we can get the data, yeah, in the past, right? So this is called the the subject that learn about these things is called the paleoclimatology. So they use proxy, some proxies, and this is use the ice core data. So maybe the ice core from 800,000 years ago, yeah, we can see the condition, the temperature, the CO2, the methane from the proxy that's stored in the ice core. Yeah. And then this is the global temperature. Yeah, measurement. Yeah, from 1850 until 2022. Yeah, and we can see clearly that start from 1945, 1950, the temperature rise so quick. And if you realize, actually we just passed the hottest temperature of all time in 2022. Yeah. So the global temperature in 2022 is estimated to have been 1.24 degrees Celsius above the average temperature from 1850 until 19. So we can conclude that the 2022 was nominally the 5th warmest year on Earth since 1850. Yeah, sorry, 1850. So what caused the global warming? Anyone know what caused the global warming? Anyone know? Yes? Yes, CO2 is one of the gases called what? The greenhouse gases. Yeah. Anyone has ever been entering the greenhouse? Anyone? Have you ever entered the greenhouse? If you go to some agriculture and then you enter some greenhouse, you ever been there? What do you feel? Very hot, right? Make us sweating. Why it's very hot? Because the heat come from the sun can enter to the greenhouse gas, but the heat from the surface, the radiation, the back radiation is held by the greenhouse. Yeah. So they can come, but they cannot release. That's why it's very hot. So these greenhouse gases is actually good or not? Good or not, the greenhouse gas? It's not good. It's make global warming like that. Eh? Do you think it's good or not? No. Anyone? Good. Yeah? Good. Actually, greenhouse gas is good. Yeah. Why? Without greenhouse gases, the earth will be very, very cold. Because the heat coming from the sun and then they will just release to the space. So the earth cannot keep warm. So we cannot live like this. Yeah, enjoy summer. Yeah. Right? So this is very important. Actually, greenhouse gases is very, very important. But why now become dangerous? Because the amount of greenhouse gases increasing means that the heat that hold in our atmosphere, that held in our atmosphere, will be increased. That's why the temperature increase. So the more greenhouse gases, the more heat will be left in our atmosphere. So the temperature will increase. But basically, greenhouse gases has a very important role to keep our earth warm. Yeah. So this is the impact, yeah, of the effect of global warming. So we can feel the hotter temperatures, and then storms. Yeah, we can maybe in the news we can see that now the frequency of the hurricane, the worst hurricane increasing. For example, in Indonesia also, we usually we never have hurricane or tropical cyclone, but in 2021 we have, and people very shocked. Yeah, it called tropical cyclone Seroja in East Indonesia. It struck the cities there with heavy rain, with strong wind, and many people suffering of that tropical cyclone. Yeah, it never happened before. Yeah, and then also aridity. Aridity is dry. Yeah, and then warming and rising of ocean, of course, because the temperature rising, and then the ice melt. That's why the sea level rise, of course. The temperature rising in the water also make the molecule become expanding. That's why the sea level also rise. Yeah. And then loss of species. Many species cannot adapt to the change of the temperature, change of the humidity, for example. So many of the species lost. Yeah. And then disruption of habitat, yeah, still related to the loss of species. Not enough food, yeah. Maybe because too dry, yeah. And then agriculture will fail. And then health risk also. I don't know about this, but I think some stations are already connecting the air temperature, humidity, and also the some disease, yeah. And then poverty and also displacement. Nah, of course we should make a mitigation and also adaptation. Yeah, mitigation is action to reduce emission and greenhouse gases that cause climate change. We need to stop deforestation and restore our natural habitats until we reach net zero carbon emission. Yeah, I think these days many effort that has been conducted by many countries, how they develop the eco-friendly car, for example, yeah, and also the energy, yeah, renewable energy, and many things, and also adaptation, action to manage the risk of climate change. The first step to adapting climate change is understanding the local risk and developing plans to manage them. So maybe in the next slide, I will show you, yeah, some people adaptation of the climate change. And then also because I'm from the oceanography, marine science, yeah, I also would like to introduce. This is the natural solution of the how to reduce the CO2 emission. In the sea, we have the blue carbon ecosystem. Blue carbon ecosystem consists of the mangrove here, yeah, salt marsh, yeah, and also the seagrass. They can store the carbon emission, yeah, through photosynthesis. Yeah, they will store the CO2 in their body, yeah, in their leaf, in their wood, and their root, and also the sediment. Yeah. So this is very important ecosystem actually. Very important ecosystem. to store carbon. And then we also know about the green carbon. Green carbon reflects the carbon sequestered by land ecosystem and incorporated carbon in soil and combines carbon in soil and trees biomass in the forest. So the green carbon refers to forest actually. But I can say that the capacity of the terrestrial forest is less than mangrove in storing carbon. Mangrove can store 10 times higher than the terrestrial forest. Why? Because mangrove not only can store the carbon in their body, in their leaf, wood, root, but also the sediment. Yeah, that's why now people is very aware about how to restore mangrove, and Prof. Denny also one of them. I will show you how he restore the extracted mangrove in the northern coast of Java. Yeah. Later I will show you. And then I would like to show you how the effect of climate change to the Indonesian climate. Yeah. This is actually my topic, my material. Yeah. So before that, I would like to show you some map. This map shows the sea surface temperature. Yeah. The blue one means the cold temperature, and then the red one, the reddish will be hotter temperature. Yeah. Wait. And we can see that here is very special of the Indonesian position. Yeah. Indonesia is the only country in the world located along equator between two continents and connecting to ocean. Yeah. So there is no one else, that can connect to ocean except Indonesia. Yeah. And because of this position, Indonesia has a very unique climate system. So this show you the wind. This is the wind, the arrow, the vector. And this is the pressure. Yeah, the blue one is the low pressure. The red one is the high pressure. The wind blow from the high to the low or from the low to the high. The wind blow from high to low. Yes. Yeah. From high pressure to the low pressure. Let's see. Yeah. This is the from January to December. Yeah. We can see that there is a change of wind direction. Yeah. During January, February, wind blows from here. Yeah, from here to here to here. And during the July, August, it will blow from the opposite. Why? Because they follow the change of pressure. Yeah, we can see here the pressure. They they turn. Yeah. And this will regulate the climate in Indonesia. The wind from the Asia, it will bring the humid air and brings rain in Indonesia. But the wind blows from the Australia, it will bring the dry air. Yeah, and bring the dry season in Indonesia. So in this one today, this is August. So do you feel hot? You feel hot in outside, no, not here, outside, yeah, because we are now in the peak of dry season. Yeah. This is the resam, yeah, the resam. This is January. January, we can see here very clearly, yeah, the wind. And then August from Australia to Asia. Yeah. Yeah, the monsoon system is strongly influenced by the pressure difference. Yeah. So during the December, January, February, high pressure from here, this is low pressure. Yeah. So the wind blows like this. And during June, July, August, so high pressure from here, and this is the low pressure here. So the wind blows from Australia to Asia. Yeah. But how high and low pressure centers from? Why it can be changed? This is associated with the position of the sun moving around the equator. Yeah. Because the sun is actually not fixed. Our earth rotates like not like this, but like this. Yeah. So the sun will move around 23.5 north and then move again 23.5 south, like that. That's why it will follow by the change of the pressure. If the sun, yeah, if the sun, this December January, the sun will be around here. Low pressure, sorry, here. So this will be low pressure. Yeah. So this will be high pressure. In contrast, during the June, July, the sun will be around here. So this is low pressure, this is high pressure. So the wind will blow like this. Okay. Ready? Stuck. Okay. Wait. Okay. So this is the effect the season in Indonesia. Yeah. December to February is known as the rainy season here. January. This is the rain, yeah. The bluish means the many rain. The bluish. January. And then the July, the rain will move to here. Yeah. Move to here. So Indonesia will be dry. Yeah. So not only that, that affect the climate in Indonesia. We also know, because I told you that Indonesia is located between two ocean and two continent. Yeah. We also know. Next, Mas. We also know, we also suffering from the ENSO. Anyone know ENSO? The El Nino, La Nina. Yeah. It also affect Indonesian climate. Yeah. During the natural condition, this is natural condition. Yeah, natural condition. There is a warm pool here. Warm pool. Yeah, warm pool. Why warm pool here? Warm pool because there is a trade wind that blows from the east to west, that pull the water mass here. That's why here the warm water will be accumulated in this area. Yeah, because of this is warm water, so it will be very easy to evaporate. Yeah, that's why will be rain. Yeah, and will be dry. Yeah, and then during El Nino, the strength of the trade wind weaken. And then the warm pool will shift to the east. Yeah, the east. That's why now the center of the convection move and evaporation happen here. Yeah, happen here. And then Indonesia will have it drier than the normal. But in America here, in Peru, America, it will be rain because the temperature here is hotter than normal. And then in contrast, during La Nina, the strong trade wind will come, very strong. It will push the warm water more to Indonesia. That's why during the La Nina condition will be much rain. The rain will come much than normal. Yeah, much more than normal. This is August and rain and dry. It should be dry season, yeah. But I think 2 days ago we have a very heavy rain, yeah. Right? Right? No? Yeah, maybe because this year is supposed to be La Nina year. So sometimes the rain will come during the dry season. Okay? And this is how can we determine this is La Nina or El Nino? Yeah. So the researcher has an index called the ONI index. Yeah. It will measure the temperature around here. Yeah. Here, the temperature around here. So if the temperature here is increasing, means there is a La Nina. But if the temperature here is decreasing, negative, it will be La Nina. So increasing is El Nino and decreasing is La Nina. Yeah. This is the example, yeah, of the ONI index. So we can see there is a negative, positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, yeah. And 2015, we have a very strong El Nino. And then 1997, also strong El Nino. Yeah. Here there is a strong La Nina. Yeah. Like this. Yeah. And then we just talk about the effect of Pacific. Now is the effect of Indian Ocean. Almost the same with the Pacific, but it called by the Indian Ocean Dipole. In this Ocean Dipole, if the positive means here is warmer, this is cooler. So it will bring rain in this area, in Africa, but the dry season drier in Indonesia. Conversely, during negative IOD means that here will be warmer, means evaporation come higher and then bring rain in Indonesia, but in Africa will be drier. Yeah. So this is the how we can determine the IOD. So we use the researcher use the called dipole mode index. So the average temperature here minus temperature here. Yeah, this minus this. And the result is this. The result. So if positive means that positive IOD and negative means that negative IOD. Yeah. And we just passed here 2019 here. Positive IOD, strong positive IOD. Yeah. I would like to show you the impact of this. In 2019, we got very extreme drought. Yeah. Here, especially in Sumatra, there is a forest fire. There was a forest fire, and it reached total area is around 900,000 hectares. Yeah. Of the forest loss due to the forest fire in 2019. Because at that time, the weather is so dry and so hot. Yeah. So I would like to share some of my research here. The why is very important 2019. Yeah. This is the index of the IOD. Yeah, the index of IOD is positive. Yeah, this one. And this is the East Pole. And this is the West Pole. And this is East Pole, but it's not okay. That's important. But I would like to show you this one. Oh, this one first. This one was. Compare this to this. 2019 is very, very special for the IOD, positive IOD, because if we look at the ENSO index, El Nino index, El Nino seems to be normal. Yeah. Usually, positive IOD come together with the El Nino, and negative IOD come together with La Nina. But 2019, we only see that only positive IOD in 2019. Yeah. And then if we compare the positive IOD in 2019, 2006, and 2004, 2019 is the highest index. Yeah. So the highest in last 2 decades, and IOD 2007 independent from ENSO. So it's very, very special condition of 2019. This one is the evolution of the IOD. We can see here 2019. This is not important. I would like to just show you this one. The peak of the IOD. We can see here. The blue one means the low temperature, and the red one means the high temperature. So blue one here, red one here. So there is a positive IOD because of the strong wind. Yeah, the trigger upwelling here. Next. And compared to the other IOD, yeah, 1994, 2006, 2019, we can see the color is more obvious in 2019 than others. This means that 2019 is very strong positive IOD. Yeah. Next. And then what is the impact? We can see here the impact June, July, August, September, October, November. We can see that most of this is the rainfall, yeah. The positive rainfall means the higher rainfall. The blue mean the tend to be dry, yeah. So most of the area blue, yeah, most of the area blue means that there's a drought all over Indonesia because of the IOD positive in 2019. And what is the impact in Sumatra? We can see there's a hotspot density, yeah. We can see the hotspot increasing and more concentrated to the South Sumatra during IOD 2019. So because of this disaster, yeah, the forest fire, sometimes it will bring negative impact to the health, yeah, because many people will suffer from respiratory disease, yeah, respiratory disease. Yeah, many people should wear mask everywhere, yeah, because it's not safe to go out without mask during the forest fire because the smoke is very, very thick. Yeah. Next. But there is also positive impact. Actually, yeah. You can see here that this is the chlorophyll. Chlorophyll means the phytoplankton or phytoplankton? You don't know? Phytoplankton is like algae, the microalgae in the ocean, yeah. And it can represent the fertility, the productivity of the ocean. Yeah. So the more phytoplankton means more productive the ocean. More productive ocean means that the phytoplankton plankton come, and then fish will come. So more fish in the productive ocean. So we can see here that during the IOD positive, most of the Indonesian seas is red. Red means that higher chlorophyll, higher phytoplankton. So the fisherman is very happy. Yeah. But someone who lives near the forest will be suffer. Yeah. Next. In case 2, yeah, I would like to share the Semarang, the great flood, the big flood in 2021. Anyone here in Semarang in 2021? Anyone? No? Oh. Huh? Semarang, yeah? You feel you experience this, right?
A matter of
The
fact,
big
yes,
flood, the big
yes.
flood.
I see the news because I'm from the south part of the Semarang. I did not have the other
yeah,
impact
south
here,
part is
but
high.
I heard the news about this.
Yeah, okay, yes. This is the record from some news, yeah, from Tempo. This is the train station Tawang, yeah, the train station. And then this is the University of Semarang, Simpang Lima. Have you been there? Simpang Lima, of course, yeah. It's very famous landmark of Semarang, Simpang Lima. And this is the Kota Lama, yeah, in that time. According to BPBD, the disaster agency of Semarang, yeah, flooding at 42 points and landslide at 34 points in Semarang, yeah, at that time. And this is the rainfall, yeah, the rainfall. So in the western part of Semarang, this one, received very high extreme rainfall during that time. Yeah. So I would like to share what is the cause, the mechanism. This is the paper from some colleagues in BRIN. Yeah. So actually during the extreme rainfall 5 to 6 February 2021, there is a 2 peak of rain, 1 and sorry. 1 and 2. Yeah, this first, this is second. Yeah, first and second. This is this data is collected by the station. Yeah, by the station. Next. And if we look through the satellite, yeah, we can see the mesoscale convective system. Means that this is the cloud that can cause the rain. Yeah. So we can see here some cloud appears around Sumatra, south of Sumatra here, and then also one more is here, and then finally they will unite here around 6 February. Yeah, 6 February. And then disappear. So there are two factors that cause the heavy rainfall during 5 and 6. First is this one that move here, and second is this one, and then unite. Yeah. Next. So I think this is okay. I will go fast here. The two convective system is, the first is in the higher troposphere, here atmosphere. Yeah, there is a moisture transport here from here to here, the higher troposphere, and then this is the middle. There is a two moisture transport, and this the bottom troposphere is from the South China Sea, the transport. Yeah. Next. So this is the cause. Yeah. The cause is from the South China Sea. It called the cross equatorial northerly surge. There is a cold surge associated with the west monsoon. The west monsoon bring the cold air with the humid and cold air here. That's why we can see there is a cloud around Sumatra here and then move here. Yeah. And then in here, there is a low tropical depression and also the low frequency variability associated with La Nina. So in this one is caused by, there is a La Nina. Yeah, La Nina here is very low pressure. So it will move here, the wind. Yeah. And this 2021 is La Nina here, if we look at the index. Next. So this is the summary. Yeah. This is the upper troposphere is during the La Nina, and this is the the middle troposphere is two factors influence, and then the lower troposphere is the cold surge come from the from the South China Sea. Next.
Professor, sorry, I want to interrupt you. We have time until 11:40 for this, so you have 10 more minutes for this.
So what I would like to address here, yeah, because of the climate change. This is the paper from the Ventusa and all. The global warming makes extreme El Nino and La Nina more frequent. Yeah. And also, how about IOD? The same tendency is also applied for IOD. Yeah. Recent trend toward more frequent and intense positive IOD event due to global warming. That's why global warming now makes our climate become more extreme, because El Nino, IOD, BP more frequently occurs in Indonesia. Yeah. Next. So that's why we need mitigation. One of the most important thing mitigation is how we can detect earlier as possible, so we can reduce the bad impact and can use the positive impact. If we know that this year is La Nina, for example, yeah, or El Nino, for example, so we should prepare for the drought, yeah. But we should encourage the fishermen, for example, to go fishing, yeah. So we can mitigate. Next, and this is from Pak Denny. Next, this is Semarang, yeah. Semarang actually also suffering from the climate change, sea level rise. Not only the sea level rise, but also the erosion. We can see here that this is the coastline, the original coastline, and now it's already lost around 1.74 kilometer. And this is 1.43 kilometer. And the total loss to the coastline is approximately more than 70%. 70% of the total of the coastline in Semarang is degraded due to sea level rise and also the erosion. Next. This is the sea level rise measured by the tidal data. We can see here that is around 7.7 millimeter per year. Yeah, the sea level rise. Next. This is from the satellite. Here is around 4 until 5 millimeter per year of Indonesia. The sea level rise. Next, but not only that, Semarang is also suffering from the subsidence. So not only the sea level rise, but the land sinking. Yeah. Here in Java, there is a summary. Yeah, Semarang, for example, is 1 until 20 centimeter per year. Can you imagine that? So during 5 years, 5 years, so the land will sinking around 1 meter. So fast. Yeah. And then Demak is also the same, Pekalongan is the same, yeah. Jakarta also, maybe most of the area is in the northern coast of Java. Why? Because north of Java, the sediment is soft. The young sediment, soft, so it still compressed. Yeah. Next, this is the other data from the Bambang Yuwono 2013. Yeah, the distribution of the subsidence 0.3 until 9 to 13 centimeter per year. Yeah. Next, this is the evidence in the field. Maybe you will visit in Demak, yeah. You will see how the people suffering from the subsidence also tidal flood. This is not Hobbit house, no. This is normal house. But why it's so short? Because every year they should elevate the floor. Just elevate the floor. If not, they will sinking. They will inundated by the seawater. Yeah. So like this, finally become like this. And yeah. Next. Now, for instance, these people has no money. It's a poor family. They have no money to elevate their floor. So they will let the water come to their house. Yeah. So it will bring the many disease, I think, in terms of the medicine health. Yeah. Next. And this is in Demak, I can see Demak is more severe than Semarang. here, the total loss of the coastal area is around 5 kilometer. 5 kilometer. That's why now the government built toll road. Yeah, the toll road is not only function for the transportation, but also as a dam that prevent the water from the ocean will goes deeper to the land area. Yeah. So I think you will go to the field, yeah, Pak Farhan, yeah, to the Demak, right? The participant will.
The participant actually only goes to Magelang in the maybe in the last day, so maybe they will not go to the Demak. Do you have any schedule to Demak? Maybe.
Yes.
Oh yes.
I think yes.
Oh yes. I'm sorry. I don't have any updated data.
Okay. So you will see how the people adapt to this condition. Next. So how we can solve this problem? So Prof. Denny, we should understand the cause first. Prof. Denny, for example, this is because of the sea wave that erosion. Yeah, that's why the water can come in. Next, and we should know the characteristic of wave. For example, this is the wave move from this angle. Yeah. Some people think that if there is erosion like this, just mangrove planting to restore the coast. It cannot be like that. Because of what? The high wave come and the mangrove still young and the mangrove will disappear. Yeah. So Prof. Denny already make some study, yeah. So he study about the cause first, and then next, and then Prof. Denny will first one like this. This is the 2012, yeah, before the construction. Yeah, after he know the cause of the wave, something, and then he will design the coastal protection. So he will involve the local community, yeah, and then make some structure like this. And we can see here, the wave will be the extreme ocean wave condition can function to reduce wave energy overtopping and wave run up. And we can see after some times 2013 sediment will collected in here. Next.
Professor, it is already 11:40, so if you can finish your presentation, it would be great.
Okay. Dikit lagi.
Yes.
And then this is in next. This is in Demak, yeah. Prof. Denny also in Demak. So this is before 2012. Then he make some structure here. Sediment comes, and after sediment comes, they will plant the mangrove. Yeah, plant the mangrove. 2015, mangrove still grow. Yeah, 17 July, and now the mangrove is already the high is already more than 3 meters. Next, and then to do that, Prof. Denny here should identify problem with local communities and then problem mapping based community participation. So he always involved the local community there, and then prepare the master plan and evaluation design, and then consultation with the public. Next, and then explore the opportunity to enhance socio-economic benefit from the local community, parking income, souvenir, tracking mangrove, how they can make mangrove as a food, mangrove crab, for example, like that. Next. Then also join research with many countries. This is the join research with researcher from BRIN, TU Delft, and many more. So we can see here in 2020, the mangrove already grow more than 10 meters. Yeah. Next, thank you.
Okay, Prof, you may be seated if you want to sit here. Okay, everyone, that concludes the lecture of about this topic from Prof. Andy. From here, I can have some of the insight that I can share with you. It's about how the climate change is happening, and also what's the cause, and how's the blue carbon as a natural climate solution. We also learn about the El Nino, La Nina, and the index, and also how do we mitigate from the case of in Indonesia. So, Prof, we have time until 11:55 for discussion. So, is there anyone having some of insight, maybe some question? Maybe the online participant can also ask. But also, if you in here in the smart class having some of the question, maybe for insight, you may raise your hand and then stand up and then say what is your name, your institution, and then your question. And then after that, Prof, you can directly answer that after that. Okay, is there anyone? Excuse me, is there any question from the online participant? Not it. From offline, maybe? I know you have a lot of questions, but maybe I will start first from myself, Prof. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I am very interested about your explanation about the other the Semarang Demak toll road that also combine effort as the mangrove. From your experience, or maybe from the team's experience, is there any, maybe you can tell us, is there any element from maybe the government or maybe from the people on the Demak itself, or maybe anyone else, or maybe in the social media that maybe have a different view about the toll road and also combine as the mangrove? Is there no one and almost all of it support the idea maybe because we need to have an insight here, but maybe is there any opposition we can tell the audience here how to I don't know if I can say correctly, but counteract that statement maybe. Is there anything you can share with us?
Okay, actually, from the toll road, plan, there is some contradictive. Some people think that the build of the toll road, it will, because we will close, we will make like a dam, in the along the coastal line like that. So the water from the open seas cannot go to the coast, and it will make the mangrove die. It will make the mangrove die, and then also some species will lose their habitat, for example like that. But there is a debatable like that, actually, but I'm not sure because I don't involve in that planning, but I think there is some exit way, that they will make some of the, there is some toll road is not concrete, not what is it called?
Oh, the material.
Yeah. So in some points the water still can come and go like that.
Oh, so maybe the opinion about the access solution is maybe the material for the toll road itself is
Yeah.
not made for concrete, but maybe from the other material, right? So the concept is about the mangrove itself.
Yes, yes, yes,
Okay.
yes, yes.
Okay, thank you very much for the answer on that. We have maybe until 11:15, then maybe 3 more minutes, maybe. Is there anyone here who wants to ask some question, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay, the lady on the front, please stand up, say who you are and what's your invitation, and maybe your question. After that, you may sit it, and Prof, you may also
Yeah.
directly answer that.
Okay. Stand up.
Good afternoon, Prof. Anin. I would like to ask a question. Actually, my name is Nindya Marta. I
Oh, the
come
same with
from
me, yeah?
yeah, India. I come from a postgraduate of nutrition science.
Okay.
Actually, my thesis theme is actually about climate change impact on food security and nutritional status of toddler. One of the location of my thesis is in Tugu, North Semarang. It's also a coastal area, and my Prof. Denny is actually my one of my thesis supervisor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I would like to ask about the climate change that happened in Tugu, and is there any similar solution that applied there, like mangrove rehabilitation as well, or something else? I think that's it.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Yeah. The maybe we can back to the previous slide. Next, next, next. Next. Before. Here. Yeah, here. Actually, this structure is built around Tugu. Prof. Denny built this around Tugu. Yeah. So it has the different characteristic in Tugu and in Demak. Yeah, the last one is in Demak. Yeah. In here we can see that how the structure that built by that designed by Prof. Denny, it can trap the sediment not only in the behind the structure, but also in front of the structure. So the sand will trap here. Yeah. Next. Yeah. So in here we can see that we can make a mangrove rehabilitation after the structure can protect from the high wave. Yeah, we can make a coast mangrove rehabilitation behind the structure. Yeah, and then not only that, the natural vegetation will also grow in this behind the structure. Yeah, so this is the real example that Prof. Denny already conducted in Tugu. Yeah, how he can make a mitigation, yeah, to reduce the erosion and also sea level rise in this area, like that in India. So you are lucky that your supervisor is Prof. Denny, because he's expert in that area. Yeah, it's okay, Nin? Okay. Anyone else? Itu ada satu tuh.
Oh, is there anyone?
Ya tuh.
Your hand is not right now. Okay, you may rise and do the same as Nindya in the front. Excuse me, I will go to front to give you the mic.
Okay, thank you. First of all, thank you for this experiencing and also amazing presentation from Prof. Denny. So, first of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Fadia Kisanasiti, and I'm a third year at Faculty of Medicine Diponegoro University. So, I would like to ask about tidal float, or we usually call it banjirop. I usually face it when on the way from my hometown Jepara to Semarang, which I cross in front of Unisula University. So I want to ask, like, is tidal float also having a relation with the climate change, or it's a different float that we already explained? And I actually also curious, is the government has a regulation or project to help this tidal float? Because what I saw from this tidal float is a never ending circle. Like we always face it every year, and even like the road is also fixing every year, but why it's always come? It's also that because of the climate change or not? And that's the question. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Okay, Prof.
Okay, Fadia, thank you very much for your question. Yeah, about tidal flood. Tidal flood is life. Actually, it's a flood that is called by the tide. Yeah. So during the high tide, it will inundate some area, and during the low tide, it will begin. But why this nowadays become more severe? Yeah, because one of them is climate change. As we know that the sea level rise, of course, although it's not so significant, yeah, around maybe 7 millimeter per years, but it still contribute to the sea level. Yeah, but not only that, in Semarang, Demak also suffering from the subsidence. Actually, the most important thing that worsen the tidal flood is subsidence. Yeah, as we know that the maximum subsidence can reach 20 centimeter per year. Yeah, that's why. Yeah, you know that every year they will fix the road. Yeah, every year, but still flooding. Yeah, because still sinking. Yeah, it just I think it is not a permanent solution. That's why one of the idea to make a toll road, yeah, it will be more permanent, but it's not actually also. I think it's not also not permanent solution, yeah, but it's still better, yeah, because it will hold the tidal the water entering the land area. But if still sinking, yes, I think it's still the same actually. Yeah. The most important thing is actually why the subsidence occurs, because one of the most important factor is the groundwater subtraction. Yeah, the groundwater in the coastal area is act like a barrier, like a pillow. Yeah, so it will hold the land, the land. Yeah, the soil. But if the groundwater is subtracted more and more and more, so it will be very, very easy to drop. Yeah. That's why. But you know that Sayung, yeah, there are many industries that need the groundwater. That's why it's like a never-ending story. Yeah. As long as the government cannot provide the water for the industry, for the people living there, so I think still sinking. Yeah. Maybe the story in Netherlands is different, yeah. Netherlands built dam, but Netherlands has no subsidence, right? Or also has a subsidence? Subsidence. the land subsidence? You don't know. So maybe no, maybe no. That's why the dam in Netherlands can last long and can protect the flood. But in here, there is also subsidence that is 20 centimeter per year. Yeah, that's why it's very, very difficult to manage the solution, I think. Yeah. Until now, there is no, what is that called? The solution that can 100% solve the problem. Still, there is a weakness, Fadia. So I think that's my answer. Yeah, still cannot be solved 100%. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. Because today now is 11:57. From now, you may take a seat, sir. Maybe.
Okay.
The question time is already finished. I'm sorry for all of you who are having more question in the room, and maybe also the person in the online Zoom. I'm very sorry because the time now is already done. It's up. So without further ado, is there any more question? Please write to the committee, and maybe they will deliver the question personally to you, Prof. Okay, from that, that concludes our first topic of today, the subtopic 1 about the climate change. And also I want to say thank you, Prof. Arin, thank you for your time here. I'm sorry for any inconvenience. And so after this, you may go back to the transit room. But before that, I want to inform you, the participant here, that the lunch is already ready in the outside. And you should be eating it outside of this room. You may eat it in the room number 201, which is right there. And also you can have a prayer and anything else. This is the break session. We come back here exactly at 13:00 or 1 o'clock in here. Thank you very much and have a good day.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone.